You think you know Wetherspoons? You've been getting it wrong this entire time. What I'm about to show you will change every single visit to your local Spoons, save you a fortune, and unlock secrets that even the staff don't always know about. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at that pub the same way again. Here's something sneaky. Wetherspoons charges different prices for the same size drink depending on the ABV. That pint of Ruddles at 3.7% might be £2.09, but that pint of craft IPA at 5.5% could be £3.49. Most punters don't notice because they just order what they fancy, but if you're watching your pennies, always check the ABV and the price. Sometimes you're paying 70% more for beer that's only 1% stronger. The real insider move is this. Look at the guest ales. Wetherspoons rotates guest beers from local breweries, and they're often cheaper than the regular lineup because they're trying to shift them. Plus, they're usually more interesting. I've had some cracking beers that were £2.19 a pint, just because they were the guest ale that week. Same with the wine. The house wine is perfectly drinkable and costs about half what the branded stuff costs. Unless you're a proper wine snob, save yourself £3 and get the house red or white. It all does the same job at the end of the day. This sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. When your drink arrives, check it. Is the pint full, or is there an inch of head taking up space that should be beer? Is your wine glass actually 175 millilitres, or did they short pour you? Wetherspoons staff are generally honest, but they're also rushed off their feet, and mistakes happen. If your pint's short, politely ask them to top it up. By law, they have to serve you a full measure. Most staff will do it without complaint because they know they've underfilled it. Same with spirits. If you've ordered a double and it looks suspiciously small, query it. You're not being difficult, you're making sure you get what you paid for. And here's another thing. Check your change. When it's busy and the staff are doing 20 transactions an hour, mistakes happen. I've been undercharged and overcharged. When I'm overcharged, I point it out politely, and 9 times out of 10 the staff appreciate it because their till balances at the end of the night. Honesty works both ways. Wetherspoons doesn't do a traditional loyalty card, but here's what they do have. If you sign up to their mailing list, either physical or email, you get vouchers sent to you regularly. We're talking £10 off when you spend £20 or free drinks vouchers. The physical mail is better because they send actual vouchers you can use, not just codes. My mate gets about £50 worth of vouchers a year just for being on the mailing list. The thing is, you can combine these vouchers with the already cheap prices, which means you're getting almost wholesale pricing on your food. And drink, I've used a £10 off £20 voucher on Curry Club Thursday, which meant 2 curries and 4 pints came to a tenner total. That's ridiculous value. You can't even buy the ingredients for that price in Tesco. The vouchers usually have restrictions. Can't use them on Friday and Saturday nights. But if you're strategic about when you go, you're basically getting paid to drink. Well, almost, and they don't expire quickly either, usually give you a good month or 2 to use them. If something's wrong with your meal or drink, don't suffer in silence, but also don't be a Karen about it. The right way to complain at Wetherspoons is this: be specific, be polite, and be reasonable. If your steak's overcooked, flag down a staff member and show them. 9 times out of 10, they'll take it back and bring you a fresh one, no questions asked. The thing about Wetherspoons is they've got clear policies about this stuff. If the food's not right, they'll replace it. If you've waited more than 30 minutes for food, they'll often comp part of your bill. But you have to speak up. Don't wait until you've eaten the whole meal and then complain. That's taking the mick. Complain when the problem's apparent, be nice about it, and you'll be amazed how accommodating they are. I've had meals replaced, drinks comped, apologies from managers, all because I was polite but firm about something being wrong. The staff aren't paid enough to argue with reasonable complaints, so they'll sort you out quickly just to keep things moving. But if you're aggressive or unreasonable, you'll get nowhere. Where you sit in a Wetherspoons matters more than you think. If you're using the app, it doesn't matter as much. But if you're ordering at the bar, or you want to catch staff attention, position yourself near the bar, but not directly at it. Tables within eye line of where staff walk to and from the kitchen are golden. Why? Because staff naturally scan those areas when they're moving around. If you're tucked away in a corner booth, you're invisible. If you're right by the toilets, you're in a low traffic area. But that middle zone, maybe 10 feet from the bar near the main walking route, that's where you get noticed. When you need another drink or your food hasn't arrived, a staff member will spot you trying to get their attention. This sounds like such a minor thing, but I've tested it dozens of times. Sit in the sweet spot and your service is noticeably quicker, especially on busy nights when every second counts. The large breakfast costs £7.45 in most places, right? But here's what nobody tells you. The small breakfast is £4.75, and if you add 2 extra items, say another egg and an extra sausage, you're paying about £5.60 total for basically the same amount of food as the large. You've just saved yourself nearly £2. Do that twice a week and you've saved over £200 a year. That's a weekend away, that is. Even better, the toast and butter that comes with your breakfast. That's unlimited if you ask nicely. Most staff will bring you extra toast without charging because technically it comes with the meal. And those unlimited refills on tea and coffee, that's not just 1 cup, that's literally as many as you want for the entire time you're there. I've known people who've had 5 or 6 cups with their breakfast and not paid a penny extra. If you're someone who likes a leisurely morning, that's incredible value. The coffee's not fancy, mind you, but it's hot and it's free after the first cup. Bring a newspaper, take your time, and you've got yourself a morning out for under £6. Right, if you're finding these tips useful and you're learning things even after years of going to Spoons, do me a favour and hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me which Wetherspoons is your local. I want to see which one gets the most love. And subscribe because I've got loads more money-saving tips coming that'll help you stretch your pension or your wages even further. Now let's get back to it because the next tips are even better. Right, let's start with something that'll blow your mind. Wetherspoons has items they can make that aren't on the menu. If you ask nicely, most pubs will do you a simple omelette, even though it's not listed, just eggs, cheese and whatever filling you fancy. They've got all the ingredients back there for the breakfasts and other dishes. Same goes for jacket potatoes in many locations. The staff can knock one up for you because they've got the ovens and the fillings. Here's the thing, Wetherspoons kitchens are incredibly well stocked because of that massive menu they do. That means if you've got dietary requirements, or you just fancy something slightly different, it's worth asking. Want your burger without the bun? They'll do it. Want extra bacon on your breakfast? Just ask. They'll charge you for it, but it's usually only 60p or so. The worst they can say is no, but 9 times out of 10, if it's reasonable and they've got the ingredients, they'll sort you out. Most staff are lovely about it because they'd rather you enjoy your meal than stick rigidly to what's printed. The secret to fresh food at Wetherspoons is understanding how their kitchen works. Everything's cooked to order, which is brilliant, but some items take longer than others. If you want the freshest possible meal, order something that requires actual cooking, like a steak or a fresh burger, rather than something that might have been sitting under a heat lamp. But here's the real trick. Ask them to hold the garnish or make a tiny modification to your order. Say, no tomato on my burger, or extra onions on my mixed grill. Why? Because it forces the kitchen to make your order fresh, rather than potentially using something that's been sat there. It's a tiny modification that ensures you're getting something made specifically for you in that moment. Also, avoid ordering the most popular items during peak times. If you get fish and chips at 7 p.m. on a Friday, you're getting something from a production line. Order the rump steak or the chicken tikka masala instead, and you'll get something that's been cooked specifically for you. The quality difference is noticeable. Most people know about Curry Club and Steak Club, but here's what they don't tell you. Many Wetherspoons do reduced prices on selected items before noon. It's not advertised nationally, but individual pubs have discretion to do it. Your breakfast might be 50p cheaper if you order before 11 a.m. Your coffee might be reduced before 10 a.m. The only way to find out is to ask the staff or check the little board near the bar. Some pubs don't bother advertising it because they don't need to drum up morning trade, but others are trying to build that early crowd, and they'll discount to get you through the door. I found pubs where the small breakfast is £3.99 before 10 a.m, instead of the usual £4.75. That's not a huge saving, but if you're a regular, it adds up. Plus, if you're retired or working shifts, why not take advantage? You're up anyway, might as well save a few bob. Tuesday mornings between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m, that's your golden window. Why? Because you get the breakfast crowd thinning out, the place is clean and fresh from the morning, and if you're clever, you can nurse a refillable coffee until lunchtime's offers start. But here's the real secret. Thursday. Lunchtimes are when they do Curry Club, and if you arrive at 11:45 a.m, you beat the rush, but you're there right when the kitchen is firing on all cylinders. The thing about Wetherspoons is they're not like normal pubs where quality varies depending on how hungover the chef is. Everything's timed and systemised, but there are still sweet spots. Avoid Friday and Saturday nights after 8 p.m. Unless you enjoy chaos, that's when you get the pre-club crowd, and the service slows to a crawl because the kitchen's doing 200 orders an hour. Sunday afternoons between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. are brilliant though. The lunch rush is over, families have gone home, and you can actually hear yourself think. Plus, the staff are generally more relaxed and chatty, which makes the whole experience nicer. Remember, a quiet spoons is a better spoons. If you're not using the Wetherspoon app, you're making your life harder than it needs to be. Download it right now. Seriously, pause this video and do it. Once you've got it, here's what most people don't realise. You can save your favourite drinks and meals, which means reordering is literally 2 taps. No more standing at the bar trying to remember what your wife wanted while someone behind you is breathing down your neck. But the real genius move is this. Order your drinks through the app, even when you're standing at the bar. Why? Because app orders get sent straight to the kitchen and bar on a separate system. And during busy times, they often get prioritised because staff can see exactly what's needed without having to listen to someone shout an order over the noise. Plus, you've got a record of what you've ordered and what you've paid, which is handy if something goes wrong. And here's a little trick. If you're in a group, everyone can download the app and order to the same table number. It means you don't have one poor soul trying to remember 6 different drinks and then carrying them all back. Split the bill naturally, and Bob's your uncle. The app also shows you which pubs are nearby and their opening times, which is brilliant when you're travelling. Not all Wetherspoons staff know all the rules and deals. Some have been there for years and know every trick in the book. Others started last week and are still learning the till. If you politely ask questions about deals, discounts or modifications to your order, you'll quickly figure out who knows their stuff. The experienced staff, usually the older ones or the shift supervisors, can tell you things like which day the beer delivery comes, so you know when kegs are freshest, which menu items are the best value, which items to avoid because they're problematic in the kitchen. Building a rapport with these staff members is gold. They'll remember you, they'll look after you, and they'll give you tips that aren't in any manual. I've had staff tell me, "Don't order the ribs today, the batch wasn't great." Or, "If you come in Tuesday morning, the manager's doing a deal on breakfast." That insider knowledge is priceless. Treat the staff well, learn their names, say please and thank you, tip occasionally if service is great, and you'll get looked after. Remember how every Wetherspoons is in some grand old building with history? Actually reading the information on the walls about what your pub used to be makes the experience 10 times better. Some of these buildings are stunning. Former banks with original features, old theatres, Victorian post offices. You're drinking in living history. But beyond the interesting factor, knowing the building's history can actually be useful. If it used to be a bank, there are probably interesting architectural features worth looking at. If it was a cinema, the proportions of the space will be unusual, and there might be better seating areas in what used to be the balcony. I've found brilliant quiet corners in Wetherspoons just by understanding the original layout of the building. Plus, it's a great conversation starter. Bring a visitor to your local, show them the history on the walls. Suddenly you look like a knowledgeable local, rather than just someone who likes cheap beer. It's a tiny thing that enhances the whole experience. Now, Wetherspoons as a company has high standards, but individual pubs vary. Before you visit a new Spoons, look it up on the Food Standards Agency website. Every pub in Britain gets a hygiene rating from 0 to 5, and it's public information. Most Wetherspoons score a 5, which is excellent, but occasionally you'll find one with a 3 or 4, which means they've had issues during inspection. I'm not saying don't go, sometimes it's just paperwork problems, but it's worth knowing. If a pub's got a 3 rating, maybe stick to drinks or sealed snacks rather than the kitchen food until they've sorted it out. The ratings are usually displayed on the door, but half the time they're tucked away where you won't notice. The FSA website shows you exactly what the inspector found. Sometimes it's just a broken fridge seal, other times it's more serious. 5 minutes of research can save you a dodgy stomach. And here's the thing, the best Wetherspoons are often the ones in smaller towns where the manager's been there for years and runs a tight ship. Those places get 5 ratings consistently, and the food's always spot on. Wetherspoons does special promotions on bank holidays and around major events that they don't always advertise heavily. Real ale festivals, international food promotions, reduced prices on specific drinks during major sports tournaments. These things happen, but you have to be paying attention. The best way to know is to follow your local Wetherspoons on social media or check the website regularly. They'll often do £2.50 pints during the Six Nations or reduced meal deals around Easter. I've got mates who plan their pub visits around these promotions and save an absolute fortune. The Christmas period is particularly good. They usually do some kind of festive meal deal that's incredible value. Last year it was a turkey dinner with all the trimmings plus a drink for £7.99. You can't cook that at home for that price once you factor in your time and the energy costs. These promotions only last a few weeks, so if you see one advertised, take advantage while it's on. Here's something loads of people forget. By law, any pub in Britain has to give you free tap water if you ask for it. Wetherspoons is no exception. If you're planning a long session but you don't want to spend a fortune or you're driving, alternate your pints with glasses of water. They'll bring them to your table. No charge. I know blokes who do 3 pints and 2 waters over an afternoon, and they're spending £7 instead of £15. Still having a nice time, still in the pub atmosphere, but being sensible about it. It's also just healthier. You're not getting as dehydrated, you're not getting as drunk, and you'll feel better the next day. If you're out for a meal, get a jug of tap water for the table instead of buying soft drinks at £2.50 a pop. Same result, free. The staff won't judge you for it. They see people doing it all the time. In fact, they'd rather you stay longer and spend money on food than leave because you can't afford another drink. This is an old pubgoer's trick that never fails. Check the toilets within the first 10 minutes of arriving. If the toilets are clean, well-stocked and properly maintained, you're in a well-run pub. If they're minging, that tells you everything you need to know about the management standards, and you should probably think twice about eating there. Wetherspoons has national standards, but individual pubs vary based on who's managing them and how diligent the staff are. A pub with spotless toilets at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night is a pub that's taking pride in itself. That same attention to detail will apply to the kitchen, the bar, and the customer service. Conversely, if you walk into the Gents at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and it looks like a bomb site, that's a pub where standards have slipped. It's not foolproof, but in 30 years of pub going, this rule's never let me down. Good toilets equal good pub. Remember that. Wetherspoons has become Britain's unofficial office for freelancers, pensioners' social clubs, and anyone who needs somewhere warm to meet that's not their house. The free Wi-Fi is surprisingly decent. The refillable coffee means you can nurse 1 cup for hours, and there's no pressure to leave. I know people who run entire small businesses from their local Spoons. Laptop out, coffee refilling every hour, spending maybe £4 for 6 hours of comfortable workspace. The staff don't care as long as you're not taking up a massive table during peak times. For pensioners, it's even better. Meet your mates for a morning coffee, sit there chatting until lunch, maybe have a meal, then head home. You've had a full social day for under a tenner. The community aspect of Wetherspoons is massively underrated. In small towns especially, it's become the social hub that libraries and community centres used to be. And unlike coffee shops, nobody's trying to rush you out. You're a customer whether you spend £3 or £30. Wetherspoons does seasonal specials that rotate every few months, and some of them are genuinely good while others are forgettable. The trick is knowing which to try. Generally, anything that's traditionally British and seasonal, like game pie in winter or asparagus dishes in spring, is worth ordering because they're using proper seasonal ingredients at their peak. The exotic stuff they try to do, Thai curries, Mexican dishes that aren't their standard fajitas, that's more hit and miss. Not because it's bad, but because you're asking a pub kitchen to replicate cuisines they don't specialise in. Stick to what Wetherspoons does well. Proper British food cooked simply. Their seasonal Sunday roasts are often better than the regular menu roasts because they're featuring whatever's good right now. Same with their fish dishes when there are seasonal fish available. Ask the staff what's actually seasonal versus what's just been labelled seasonal special for marketing. You'll get honest answers and you'll eat better food. Final tip, and this is the big one. Timing is everything. If you want the full Wetherspoons experience, good service, fresh food, comfortable seating, pleasant atmosphere, here's your window. Weekdays between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. or between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. You miss the breakfast rush, you miss the lunch rush, you miss the evening drinking crowd. The pub's still fully staffed because they're preparing for the next rush. The kitchen's operating at optimal efficiency, and you get the pick of the seating. The staff have time to chat, the toilets are still clean from the last hourly check, and your food comes out quickly because the kitchen's not doing 100 orders at once. I've been going to Wetherspoons for 20 years, and this timing trick has never failed me. You get all the benefits: cheap prices, good food, nice atmosphere, without any of the downsides like noise, crowds, and slow service. It's the sweet spot that makes you remember why you love your local spoons in the first place. 20 tips that'll transform every visit to your local Wetherspoons, save you money, and get you better service. From secret menu items to perfect timing, now you know how to do spoons properly. Hit subscribe and watch the next video on screen for more money-saving tips that actually work. Cheers!